We are here for the 5 things that I learned in the NRL this week and my fantasy tip at the end, along with how I went in tipping, which was not good at all. So if you are new to this, we're going to go through quick, short and sharp the things that I have learnt. And kicking it off with the Bunnies, they've put themselves into an incredible and amazing position with Aiken and Latrell Mitchell out. And Aiken's so helpful for their, likely going to be the left-hand side, and they can put Kolomatangi on the right, they can play arrows through the middle, they can move a few things around, which is awesome in that position. And then to have Latrell Mitchell back, it just changes everything and gives them all of that attack, which they've lacked outside of the game that just played on Thursday night against the Panthers. Their attack looked awesome in the first half, and they took the foot off the gas for sure in the second, but Latrell just gives them that extra little bit of fun there that they can run their offense around him, and they really need to find a spot for Jai Gray. He has been incredible, but for them to be 3 wins and a loss there up against some tougher opponents as well, I think that's absolutely incredible, and credit to the Bunnies for their effort and just being able to win those close matches, because it's going to help them so much in the back end of the year. When you have Cam Murray out, your spiritual and leader on the field, it does make it pretty tough, but as I said, they've given themselves an opportunity to put themselves in a great position. Number 2, the weather. Doing funny things this week. I personally had 2 out of 8 in my tipping, so that was a shocker. And it just allowed for a lot more upsets, basically. You had the humidity up in with the Cowboys, and very, very different and the heat at 28 degrees. Very different to what the Raiders will be training in recent history for sure. And Cowboys at home, for one, that helps, but just being used to those conditions. And then for a lot of the other games, it was the weather, and allowing that Dragons game to be a bit more scrappy was very helpful to the Dragons. And if it was a bit more free flowing, the Storm have a lot more firepower in attack outside of that, Dragons left hand side. That helped them in that clash. The Broncos Dolphins clash is always going to be a bit of a derby, but that was one of the tips I did get right. Panthers without their big dog in Cleary, they got ambushed a little bit, but it was good to see Rabbitohs play a little bit better. The Titans actually showed a lot more poise, which is what I had in there for number 3. The Titans were absolutely clinical under pressure, and the Roosters are in a fair bit of trouble, I think. And for them to be up sort of 12-6 and Campbell to get that intercept and go the length of the field, and for them to roll over that easily, that was the really concerning thing for the Roosters. And it was incredible for the Titans on the other side, who are not known to be that type of team, to come out and play that well and put the icing on the cake at the back end of that game as well, and put on a few tries. And for them to win by 18 was pretty special for them. Away from home as a club, that's a big win and something they needed after a pretty tough round 1 for them. After having the bye, a tough round 2 game, and them now win a couple of games in a row is exactly what they needed. And they go into the next month of footy, and the next 4 to 6 weeks there, with pretty nice opponents where I think they can win at least half of them and put themselves in a good position to fight for this top 8 this year. Roosters, on the other hand, they're not in good shape right now, and there's plenty of things that they need to change and need to fix, and they can't rely on guys coming back like Walker, like Brandon Smith in the middle to back end of this year. Watson will improve them next week, but they've got potentially Victor Radley out again for a minor facial fracture, and is it going to get easier for this side? I just don't know. I really don't know at the moment. So definitely some big worries for the Roosters. Dolphins, we know that they aren't just a great team at the moment, and they're up against a good squad, but Roosters to lose away at home to a team they've beat the last 9 times, I think, in Sydney, was pretty tough. And then you had the Bulldogs. They were the best team this week, and it wasn't even close. They performed the best against a really quality outfit in the Sharks, who lost Calero at basically half time, which is fine. Like, you can get through that. It's not fine for him, but that's something that you can overcome. But they brought the most energy, they brought the most dog, no pun intended, and they brought some attack as well, and they worked hard, and they used Preston well. They used Crichton well when Iro went down, and they had to put Atkinson in at centre. They went to their leader and captain a little bit more, and I'm glad that yeah, it's good to see teams actually do that and go down those sides. Eels, similar to Dolphins, they're a team that are struggling a little bit right now. And the Raiders, I think, were one of the more disappointing teams this week. Outside of, the Storm and Panthers, I think you can allow them to have the odd loss. Where teams like the Raiders, these are the games they need to try and win. Last week they came in and played terribly against Manly, and then this week again against the Cows, it was a pretty poor effort overall, and they were bad under the high ball as well. So a big shout out to Jake Clifford for doing some great work there. And then you look at the couple of games we just saw. Eagles got through that pretty well, and I'll put my little whinge in here about Turbo. I was 50-50 between captaining him or captaining Terrell May for the safety play. And of course, Terrell gets his highest score of the year. And if he scored that try, I would have cried. It was close. I was close already, seeing he was on like 55 before half time, and Turbo was limping basically from first run. But yeah, the call was, if it was sunny out and it doesn't look like it's going to rain too much, then we'll go with Turbo against the Eels. And yeah, it looked pretty good pre-game, and the surface looked all right. So I was like, well, we go with the upside. And this is where you get burnt, apparently. You go with the better scorers in the game that have injuries and are injury prone, unfortunately. And you do get burnt like that, apparently. And I was looking at an absolutely incredible week, and it's, back to being pretty mid. Unfortunately, I might make a few ranks, but yeah, pretty tough on that one. A shout out to the Warriors. They were able to be clinical in the final moments of that game. The Tigers reigned this whole time as well, and you would have expected the Tigers at home with that lead to be able to ice it, and unfortunately they weren't able to. So shout out to Warriors for the comeback in that one, and for icing the really important moments. So that was good. But yeah, the Dogs without Burton and Kikau, listened to last week's chat, they're going to need to adjust. Yeah, they're lucky they were short-term injuries, and then my next comment was they adjusted, definitely, and they were the best team of round 4, hands down. So big shout out to those guys. And then just some standout players, one from a few of the teams there. I thought Kaloa Matangi was awesome for the Rabbitohs, and a shout out to Jai Gray and Cody Walker, who were awesome as well. Jake Clifford for the Cows, he's really come in and stepped up, and I've been very impressed. And it's going to be hard for Tom Duffy to return into this side. Gihamat Shibasaki, he just played incredible, and for his story and everything that I did mention after Thursday night's or Friday night's review, it's been very impressive, and he's been out there and played incredibly well. We've got Jacob Preston, thought he was awesome, had 0 negative plays in that game, try and a try assist. He really helped them get the big win on that side defensively. It hasn't been too bad with Hines and Nikra. And I did want to shout out Halasima in that last game, and Dylan Egan, Jack Todd, all these guys on debut they were really, really good. Jack Todd, I should mean, and Egan there. But Halasima, he got that try that helped them get the win down the sideline, and just showed his speed and impressiveness. And I could put Terrell May in there. He was incredible, but they unfortunately didn't get the win, so I'm not going to slot him into that spot. Whereas all these other players, they were part of winning outfits there. So that's how I wanted to speak about them. But yeah, to have that speed down the touchline and then beat 2 defenders who looked like they tried to cover it pretty well, but his footwork was amazing, and he was getting involved with a bit of argy-bargy with Terrell May as well, and he did get the better of the Tigers middles there. And also a big shout out to Fanua Bole as well. His footwork's incredible. We had Latu Fainu score a nice try, but they unfortunately weren't able to get the win there. But yeah, my round 4 tipping, rough, 2 out of 8. Very, very tough on that one. And my fantasy tip of the week to finish this one off. And guys, in terms of fantasy, it looks like the rankings have been a bit of a shocker this whole weekend. Hopefully, as of next week, they can get that sorted from a game-to-game basis. That would be really nice. And let's just hope we haven't seen it stuff up too much. We saw it, I think, Thursday night last week, and then it fixed up. And this week, they haven't been able to do that. So we'll see how that one rolls out. But with my fantasy tip of the week, just my little general chat there. The cheapies, they keep rolling. They're doing a lot of good work. There's majority of them are making some cash and putting in some good efforts there. What you do need to do, though, is use that cash. The cash generation right now is absolutely crazy. It's so high, and one of the guys in the private crew was talking about last year compared to this year, and it's going to be about an 900K to 1 million difference from round 4 last year compared to what it's going to be after round 4 this year. He was talking about all the guys that have beat their break even and a general amount of how much they should go up. And he reckons he might be going up 400 to 500K this week, which puts us near that, 900 to $1 million up from last year, which is pretty crazy. So I think personally, the quicker I can, is my plan, to build to keepers as quickly as possible as the mid-range, apart from, Naf Whites and these types of guys that I personally don't own. Those guys are doing well, but there's not too many that are consistent week to week. We've got the odd guy that is having a good score one week and then a bit average the next. There's a bunch of guys that just sit in the 40s. There's the odd guy that goes 20 odd into a 50, like Luke Metcalf. There's, if you're Chanel Harris-Tavita, absolutely crushing it every week, then it doesn't matter. But the majority of mid-range guys are up and down with their scoring. And the quicker you can build up to those guns that have the 60s, 70s, 80s in them, yes, the mid-40s or the 50 or the 30 like Yo, but the quicker you can get up to those guys, continue building that cash through the cheapies and avoiding the mid-range in some way, shape or form, I think that'll work out best for you. Personally, this week it was Haas and Jenkins in for me. 2 good trades. Katonga went really well. We can have him as a standout as well, but they didn't win. You've got Dylan Egan. If there's a bunch of guys out there doing some good work, and they are great guys to have a look at in your side. So we'll leave that one there, guys. Thanks so much for jumping in for the 5 things I learnt in the NRL this week, my fantasy tip, and my round 4 tipping results. I wish you all the best of luck when the ranks actually change in fantasy, and I hope you enjoyed my analysis of the footy. See you guys.